All right. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Accelerator membership. We are ready. Almost feels like the new year, but I guess we're close
It
enough, right?
does. It does.
So
Yes,
we can
we are.
start getting that frame of mind. So we're going to start. We're going to end the year apparently with a session or a month that's going to really be about a process that you're going to find very helpful, very challenging, not very challenging, but very exciting and very interesting. And so this month we have Coach Q and E. Marie facilitating the sessions. So without any further ado, I'll turn you in the hands of Coach Q or E. Marie. I don't know who's starting off this morning. You guys take it away.
Thank you so much, Jerry. Hello and welcome again, everyone. I'd like to extend a personal welcome to all of you, and especially those who might be listening for the very first time to this membership. We are so excited to have you as part of this membership program, and we're honored that you have allowed us to be part of your journey in creating what it is you want for your life over the coming months and beyond. So let's begin today's lesson. Our purpose for teaching this particular lesson is to help you develop a skill that is without question one of the most powerful tools in the learning model of achievement. The application of this principle will move you faster to achieving your goal than anything you have on your action list today. I guarantee it. Over time, the application of this principle will connect you to your potential and fortify your belief that anything is possible in your life. Okay? So let's begin. Today's lesson is a how-to lesson. It's a how-to lesson. We don't often teach how-to lessons in this membership program. However, this time is one of those times where we think it's important to help connect the dots and ensure a quick start for those who want to begin using this tool. So as I look back at my own learning model, I could see times when I got stuck and even quit when there was a how-to lesson. Whenever this how-to lesson was being taught, sometimes I would just shut down. Yeah, I don't know how to do that. Just shut down. I can remember, for example, in my algebra class, and equations like x equals 2, and I was lost, and I remained lost. It's kind of crazy because I actually really liked math until they start throwing in those letters. The teacher would spend like an entire class, an entire session about this X. She was trying to teach us what this X was and how to use it. And all I wanted to know is, why is the X there in the first place? Because in my mind, letters did not belong with numbers. So I kind of got stuck there. So why do we even need to learn this was my question. When am I ever going to use this X? How is this going to help me in my life? I could not conceive of a time in my life where this X thing that didn't fit there in the first place was going to help me. But before we talk about the how of authentic journaling, which is our training this month, before we talk about the how, we're going to have Coach Q tell us the why. Coach Q?
Yes. And I can definitely relate with the math stuff because as soon as they started talking numbers and letters together, I just pretty much zoned out.
Yeah.
But I do think if you understand the why, you'll be more open to the how, and also will perhaps develop your own how, which is our goal, anyways, right? Our goal is for you to discover your own genius code for advancing your life. So, one of the most powerful tools in this learning model of achievement is the tool of writing or journaling. How many of us in this class right now have already done any kind of writing or journaling? Yeah, yeah, somewhat. Okay, cool, cool. Yeah, so this is one of the most powerful learning tools there is, or learning models of achievement, I should say, is this tool of writing or journaling. And some of you may already know that E. Marie and I wrote a book in 2016. Think on these things. Got it right here, actually. Think on these things. And we had no idea how to write a book. We had no idea how to edit a book. We had no idea how to publish a book. We had no idea about anything that had to do with putting out a book, right? But we set the intention and we had a purpose for doing it. We had one idea of how the book was supposed to come out, but as we started writing the book, this book took on a life of its own, right? And it transformed into the book we have today, which also just so happens to have a journal in it. And we're talking about journaling, right? So it took us 5 whole years to write our book. 5 whole years. It took us 5 whole years to write our book. And that was because we didn't quite know what to do. And if I'm being honest, we weren't all that consistent the whole time. However, the 5th year, we got serious. And in a way, it was kind of like this authentic journaling that you'll learn about, in that we set aside a time and a place and we decided to finish the book. So I say this often because I love it. Some of you may have heard me say this before, but incision is to cut into and decision is to cut away from, meaning that we cut away anything that isn't in alignment with that decision, right? So we decided to write this book and make it happen. So we hope that you decide to start journaling after this lesson. It really changed our lives. Obviously, gave us a book, right? And I also believe it'll help to change your life. So if you study the lives of successful people, you'll find that most all of them at some point became habitual writers. It's interesting, right? At some point, almost all of them became habitual writers. So this doesn't mean that they all sat down and wrote a book, right? Or poetry, or even strings of fluid thoughts. It means that when they became aware of the authentic voice inside them, seeking expression, they would write what the voice had said down on paper as quickly as they could, right? You ever been, getting ready to go to bed or first thing in the morning, or maybe it wakes you up at night and you have an idea and you're like, oh, I just need to write that down, right? Mm-hmm. I remember I used to have that happen and I wasn't prepared. I didn't have anything to write it down with next to my bed. And I thought it was such a good idea that I would never forget. And you know what? In the morning, I had no idea what the idea was. I just knew it was a good one. Anybody else ever had that happen?
Yes.
Yes. So now I'm prepared. I have something by my bed so I can write down any thoughts that come up during the night. But that's what they do. They write what that voice has said down on paper as quickly as they could. Writing is used as a tool of enrichment. Writing enriches our understanding. Writing enriches our level of thought to the level of contemplation. And writing enriches our conversations with ourselves and our spiritual side, if you can believe that. When I first began to write and journal, I did so, and I'm being honest here, I did so because that's what everyone else in personal development was doing, right? Everything you listened to said journal, write your thoughts down, all these things. I said, okay, well, I started to write with a sense of obligation, right? It was something I had to do or should be doing, right? That's why I started. So I can tell you honestly, the practice of authentic journaling or writing is indeed profound. It can, and I believe it will, change your life. I remember years ago journaling and doing vision boards, and then, with moving houses, moving jobs, life's ups and downs, and the years just passing by, I had forgot all about what I had wrote. Or shoot, that I had even written anything at all, right? And during one of those moves, I found a notebook. And just being curious as to what was in it, I opened it and I started reading what I had wrote. And I found one of my old journal entries about what I wanted in my life, who I wanted to be, the things I wanted to experience, travel, all the things, speaking to thousands, coaching at a high level, all of these things. And when I read it, I was in shock. And this was some 10 years ago, right? Or I should say, at that time, this was 10 years later from the writing. And I had done or was currently living almost every single thing in that journal entry that I said I wanted. Can you believe that? Almost every single thing. There are countless stories just like this. John Assaraf, I believe it was, in The Secret said he had cut out a picture of his dream house, and I believe it was had been on his vision board, right? And while moving one day, years later, pulling it out of some boxes from the move, he saw the image he had cut out years earlier and realized he had just moved in that very house from the picture. Not one like it, the same exact house. Now, isn't that amazing?
Yes.
So these aren't just coincidences, in my opinion. As a matter of fact, I have almost never journaled a life beyond my own current experience, my own current results, my own current conditions and circumstances, and that new life not be born into existence. There's something special at play here, right? This practice is so powerful that once you begin and allow this process to become a habit, really become a habit in your life, there really is no turning back. I've spoken with hundreds of people in my travels. And when I ask if someone journals, there's typically two answers, right? Either they say they find it really hard to journal or find the time and don't know what to write, or they say they've been doing it for years and could not imagine a life without journaling. That's the power of authentic journaling.
Wow, that is so, so powerful. I remember that story with John Assaraf. And I've had similar experiences. I love to find an old journal or old list or something and just start checking it off. Oh my gosh, check. It's such an amazing feeling. So, authentic journaling will allow you to give a voice to that which is emerging from your soul. It will allow you to ask questions of yourself that will examine your core beliefs and values. Authentic allows you to be transported to times of your path, of your past, depths of your present, and insights to your future that simply cannot be accomplished any other way. Authentic journaling trains the mind for mediation and sustained focus, which gives you access to resources of potential you never thought existed. Authentic journaling moves you into a divinely guided dialogue with the source of your creation, a dialogue that allows you to hear through knowing and insight, a process that can't be fully explained as much as it has to be experienced. The type of journaling we're going to teach you is not about writing really, as much as it is about transcribing a conversation between you and your creative source. It's a little difficult to describe, but it would be like describing what a runner's high is. I know Jerry likes to run. It would be like describing like a runner's high or a meditative float or what happened, what happiness and joy feels like. See, words would fall short and diminish its power and experience. But as with all of our lessons, when teaching what we believe to be the principles within a learning model of achievement, we begin with focus being on purpose, focusing on the purpose. So, Coach?
Yes, indeed. So let's start off with the steps here. The first step we teach in the how-to of authentic journaling is setting your intention and purpose. Setting your intention and purpose is something you'll want to do even before you pick up your pen. Okay? Setting your intention and purpose. So the energy and power of intention and purpose is really the starting point of all the creative motion and dialogue that will take place when you journal. So when we link our thoughts to purpose in this way, we gain access to the still small voice within, right? That wisdom and knowing within you, true perfection. By setting your intention and purpose, you're in effect giving a directive to both your conscious and your subconscious mind to begin this kind of dance and flow of your creative power. This is an unmistakable message that your creative power immediately responds to. So, the first step then is to set your purpose and intention. You can start this process by speaking, thinking, or writing something like this. And this is just an example. You can come up with your own, but this is setting that purpose and intention. Something like this: I am grateful. I am giving myself this time to access my true, authentic self. The purpose for me journaling today is to access the perfect part of me that is all knowing. I access this authentic center here and now for the purpose of discovering blank, if there's something you're trying to figure out, right? I am open to all thoughts that come into my awareness and now move into a place where I am not writing, but transcribing the conversation with myself and the voice of God within me. Thank you, Father, and so it is, right? So it could be something like that that just starts it off, sets the intention and purpose.
Yes, great example. Great example. So this type of authentic journaling is very personal. It's about you, for you. It's about removing and overcoming your fears, about crystallizing your aspirations, about discovering your perfection, about you having the courage to ask and seek the truth to your questions. This type of journaling is to give you your guidance right now, your answers filtered through someone or some other circumstances agenda. So the second step is making a commitment. This is a big part of it. If we're to be authentic, we must be willing to have and live in and from our commitments, which is a good practice anyway. When we examine the word commitment, we see it's defined as the act of pledging or engaging oneself, and it's synonymous with words like duty, guarantee, pledge, and responsibility. So the challenge in a commitment to authentic journaling is there's a rub. But think about this term, rub. I remember when Michael Beckwith used it in the movie The Secret. If you haven't seen it, it's a good one to watch. So there's a rub at times with the commitment to authentic journaling. And the rub is you are beholden to do something about what comes up in the conversation you transcribe. You can't hear the voice. You can't become aware of a higher knowing and pretend you don't know. You can't say, thanks for the insight, but I think I'll just keep going on my own way. Oliver Wendell Holmes said, a mind that is stretched by a new experience can never go back to its old dimensions. So once you hear it, you can't unhear it. You can't unhear those words once you hear them. You see, there is a responsibility. And remember, I said the word responsibility was synonymous with the word commitment. Here's that connection. There's a responsibility that comes with awareness. We now know better. We now have a higher degree of knowing in our awareness. And this new awareness places us squarely in the position of free will and choice. So the question is, will we, with this new awareness, step forward into growth or backwards into our comfort zone? And some of you will remember our training on comfort zone earlier this year.
Yes, for sure. Yep. So by walking into this place of intention, there is a real inner tension, the tension of your highest good pulling you into growth, and an inner tension inside of you that represents your dream for your future, right? And your memories of your past failures, your courage, your doubt, your faith, your fear, all of it. So, why would we ever want to enter into this place if we're not committed to do something with the insights we gain, right? If we're not committed to do something with the insights we gain from this process, why ask your questions, gain your answers, and do nothing? Why seek guidance and be unwilling to follow it? Why hear the knock on the door of your heart and be unwilling to answer it? Yes, authentic journaling requires us to be committed to our growth. I know everybody here is committed, right? Are we committed to our growth? I
Yes,
mean,
sir.
we show up every week, right? So that shows us something. But yes, authentic journaling requires us to be committed to our growth. The how, right? The how to of authentic journaling is not difficult, but it's not easy. You're like, what, Coach He? What did you just say, right? It's not difficult, but it's not easy. Like all personal growth. I believe it was Bob Proctor I heard say, which I loved it when I heard it. He said, personal growth and development is the hardest easy thing you will ever do. He said, personal growth and development is the hardest easy thing you will ever do. And I would have to agree because imagine it's easy in theory, right? All you got to do, stay focused on what you want. What you focus on multiplies. Take action, right? Think positive. Surround yourself with the right people. Inundate yourself with the right materials, right? That sounds, I mean, yeah, straightforward. But how many of us do it on a consistent basis, right? The first steps after you have set your purpose and intention is to be disciplined to set a time and place for you to enter into this sacred conversation. As you mature in the process, you'll find you can enter that space at will, right? However, in the beginning, we do strongly recommend you set a specific time and a specific place to do this. So most beginners will find it hard to find the time to begin the practice, right? In time management, you have to determine what is really important in your life and what can wait 15 or 30 minutes, right? So if this is important enough, you'll make the time. Remember, if you decide something is more important than that which is seeking expression from your spirit, if you won't allow yourself to be guided by the feather, right, gently, then we often end up being guided by the 2x4, right, over the head. Get hurt.
Woo. Don't want that. Yes, Q. So when we first start, we might have all types of distractions. Your phone might ring. Some people have all kind of beeps and tones and bings on their phones. So your phone might ring. Your husband or wife might need you to do something. You might suddenly have to go to the bathroom. It's amazing the length our conditioned program mind will go to keep our lives status quo. Argue for your limitations, and sure enough, they're yours. Richard Bach. Recognize when these distractions occur. This chaos is occurring not by accident. This is a very real expression of our immunity to change. This may be a very good question for you to start the conversation with. You may want to write the authentic voice a question like, what part of me is trying to prevent me from entering into this conversation with you today? I'm going to ask that question. The next step is blocking off this time for 30 days. This ties into the commitment part we spoke of earlier. We have often taught that our commitments show up in two places, our checkbook and our date book. If it's important, you will have it on your calendar. So I know a lot of self-help teachers say it takes 21 days to form a habit, but new brain research has shown that It takes 30 days in most people to literally build the new neural network and pathways for those habits to fire on. So the purpose for writing at the same time supports the creation of the new pattern being built in your brain and develops the consistency for the habit to take hold.
Yeah. The next step is to create your own ritual. Okay. We are creatures of habit, right? Habits and rituals. So be intentional about it. So that's the next step. Create your own ritual with this. So this may be in the form of closing your eyes and just becoming centered, right? Maybe you'll want to take several deep, slow breaths, right? Or light a candle, or turn on a CD with some soft music, right? Or Spotify, right? Which is what I use. I guess we're not using CDs that much. Soft music that just, sets the stage for your sacred time and place. Creating this type of ritual is a practice that I find to be very helpful. The ritual not only supports us by relaxing us, it becomes an anchor of association for the work you're doing, right? So when you start getting into that zone, then your mind starts to know, okay, this is me, right? This is my time to journal. So next, I'll usually write the date at the top or the bottom of the page. It's the first thing I write typically. And I do this for two reasons. Okay. So first, I know that 3, 6, 12 months, or in that case, when I found that notebook 10 years later, right? I want to come back and I want to see what my progress has been, right? So you have a date to kind of reflect back on. Okay, this was 6 months ago. This was 3 months ago. This was a year ago, right? Second, writing the date anchors me to the here and now, right? I become centered to this time and this place, and really just allowing myself to be guided from this point, this starting point. So next is the starting point. So most beginners will ask, well, I don't know how or where do I even start, right? And I found it best if I just start the conversation. I write and my spirit listens, okay? You just start writing, right? This, I think, is very important because as human beings, one of our primary needs is to be heard and understood. So it's very difficult to be an authentic listener if we've not been heard, right? Like in most spoken conversations, we have a tendency to think about what we're going to say while the other person is talking. And if we don't feel if we've been heard, that just throws off the whole flow. We're waiting, we're thinking of what we're going to say to them. They're thinking of what they're saying to us, right? It just doesn't work while we're thinking ahead instead of being present in the moment while the other person is speaking. So begin with what's on your mind. Begin with your story. Begin with your perspective on something. Now, this may come in the form of questions, right? Questions hook the mind. You ever heard that? Questions hook the mind. So it could be in the form of questions. It could be in the form of a story, as I mentioned, or as a recall of recent or past or future events, even of what you want, right? Most of what I was writing in my journal was what I wanted to bring into my life, right? So the point is, you should write whatever comes up for you, okay? Write whatever comes up for you. You really can't do this wrong, all right? So write whatever comes up. Don't filter it. Don't edit it. Don't think. Don't pause. Don't say, oh, I'm messing up right here and overthink it. And maybe I should do this part over. No, don't filter. Don't edit. Don't even think. Just write. Don't pause. Just keep going. I don't care if some of it seems like it doesn't make sense. You will inevitably have some really powerful things that come out of it. So either way you start, make sure you're heard first. Just go.
Yes, great process. I love doing it. It's funny when I fall asleep and I continue writing, and then I wake up and I look and I think, where'd that come from? What was I thinking? But anyway, I love going back like 2 years or various dates from different dates and seeing what was happening back then. And like Coach Q said, seeing how much I've progressed or even seeing how I got through a difficult time. I love to do that. So, next in the step is to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Next, tell the truth. Your inner being, your spirit knows the truth anyway. So, being authentic, honest, real, and open establishes your true motives and willingness to gain access to the resources within you. Be truthful about your feelings, your thoughts. At first, you may want to gloss over some of the details as a convenient shortcut, but doing this cheats you out of the breakthrough you are seeking. So tell the truth. Next is the need for speed. I love how Joe Vitale, I love how he said this in The Secret. He said, the universe likes speed. And I agree with him 100%. Writing fast is your best tool for staying ahead of your own self-judgment. Writing fast puts you ahead of the voices of fear, of doubt, of anxiety, and worry. Writing fast gives you a jump start over the voices of your mother, your father, your husband, your wife, your fifth grade math teacher, your rabbi, cleric, priest, whoever. Writing fast moves filters. So don't worry about spelling or punctuation. Don't worry if the writing is legible or if you have things written in the exact order. Don't worry about any of that. Just keep the pen moving across the page. Now, next is to expect and allow the topic to shift. And it will, maybe often. You may be writing about a challenge at work, and then the very next sentence, write about what happened when you were not asked to the eighth grade dance or something like that. Don't try to make sense of it yet. If it comes up for a reason, you could find an answer or connection, or you may just be clearing energy. You may just be clearing energy of that memory. Trust the process and stay in your flow. These shifts are necessary. These are a necessary part of the process and will usually indicate a shift in the conversation to when it's now your turn to listen. You might just be writing and then you might be listening for a while. So now you listen and the spirit or that inner being writes and the magic begins.
The magic begins. All right. As the shift occurs and the roles you and your spirit play, they change, right? Or your subconscious mind, right? So
Mhm.
you listen as your subconscious listened or your spirit, right? Without judgment and open to hear your story. Now it's your turn to listen and transcribe.
Mhm.
Listen to everything, right? And just trust your gut. Whatever's coming up, that's what we mean by listen to your subconscious or your spirit, okay? Listen to everything. Listen to the paradoxes. Listen to the motivators. Listen to what intimidates you. Listen to what might be needed to be repeated again and again and again. Maybe this time it sticks, right? How many times have we heard something over and over, but that one time we hear it, it just clicks and we're like, why haven't I done this? Right?
Yes.
So listen to what must be repeated again and again. Listen to what hurts and listen to what makes you feel amazing. Just keep on transcribing. Okay? Just keep on transcribing. When you feel you're done, then guess what? You are. When you feel you're done, you're done. Now is the time for an ending ritual. Okay? I'll usually close my eyes and got this from one of our mentors. He closes his eyes and he'll run his hands over the page or the pages and just feel the energy of the paper, right? The energy of what just happened. And just thank God for taking the time to be with you and just you in that moment while you're doing this process. So, what I'll usually do is I'll take some time to reread what I've written to see if there are any obvious insights or aha moments that just jump out, right? Insights that I was maybe not aware of while I was transcribing. And it happens all the time, believe me. You're the one that wrote it, but when you go back and read something, you're like, oh, wow, that came out. Especially doing it in this way, you'll find that happen. So that's what I first do, is just see if anything jumps out at me, anything obvious, any insights, aha moments, right? Things that I was not aware of. Sometimes I'll have some very deep, life-changing new awareness come right at me. And other times, 3 days later, as I'm driving, right, I'll get a super moment of clarity on what I wrote about, right? Or even it could have been 3 months ago, right? But just be patient and just open to the process. So before close out here in a little bit, because we're going to, of course, want to hear your takeaways, and if there's any questions or comments on this lesson, you can throw them out there as you just heard it. But before we open for questions and comments on this lesson, let me address a question that we get all the time on this teaching. And the question is, do I have to write with pen and paper, or can I type on a computer? That's the question. Makes sense, right? People just say, like, can I type on a computer? I type so much faster, right? This way I can save it on my computer and blah, 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 right? Our answer is no. And I'll tell you why. I believe that there is something magical that happens when you write. You physically write. I see Roshan shaking his head. You agree? When you physically write. Merrick Morrissey said that everything is made twice. Once in the mind, and then once when it comes into this physical world. And I just thought that was powerful. I also think that putting it on paper is really the first time it leaves this sort of metaphysical world of your mind, right? That we don't truly understand fully. And it enters into this world through your arm and down on paper. And that is the first time that your thoughts, your goals, your dreams are right here on earth with you, right? There is a stronger connection when you're holding the instrument that your spirit or your subconscious is communicating through. There's a stronger connection. So I've never seen anyone, even the fastest typist, right? And I actually type pretty fast. Marie types pretty fast, but I've never seen anyone, even the fastest typist, not pause for a few seconds or a few moments or even a few minutes to look at the screen, right, while you're typing. And with this process, we want you to just flow and keep writing. So that's why we would say actually write it.
Yes, yes. And also for many of us, the computer is anchored in our minds for work. And this is not work. There are distractions that the computer represents oftentimes. Also, I feel nothing can replace the insight that can come from seeing our own written words. There is real power and insights we can gain just from how our writing looks on the paper. If you don't think handwriting matters, let me just share this quick story with you. I remember when I would get letters from my sister, I'd be so excited. Just go out, get the letter. I can't wait. Up the outside is handwritten. It's her handwriting. It's the address. I would get the letters out of the box. Now, she passed away December 12th, 1989. That's over 35 years ago. I still have those letters. I still know exactly where they are. When I read them, I can imagine her sitting there thinking about me as she writes. her little sister all the way miles away in Arizona and putting those words on the paper, almost as if her heart is writing to me. And to this day, I can pick up those letters in her handwriting and read them and know where her heart was at that particular time. It's just really, there's no greater authenticity than that. There's no greater authenticity than your hand writing, like Coach Q said. It's as if your heart is writing. That's kind of how I look at it. The next best thing would be hearing the voice. And if you think about movies, what do they do when there's a letter or a card or something? It's read like in the person's voice. So it's really powerful. You can hear the voice speaking from the pages. You can hear it. There's like a connection, like a mind, body, spirit connection. Listening to my heart and writing with my own hand in my own special way. How cool is that?
Yes.
So write it, as Coach Q said, write it. Again, it's our opinion, but that's what you're paying us for, right? So write it. And in this day and age that you think it's, quicker, faster, and better to do things another way, this is a no shortcut kind of thing. And the last thing is keep it private. We have a tendency to want to share, social media says share everything, but not this. It's not meant to be shared. I would caution you against, you can do it, but I'd caution you against it because you might tend to start watering it down a little bit because you're sharing it with somebody else. You don't want to give them full access and you want to transcribe you and that inner voice. And what's the point if it's not really authentic, if there's no authenticity? Remember the truth and nothing but the truth coming from you and not being shared. Right, Q?
That's right. That's right. Much of what you'll transcribe happens in this flow, right? And a lot of times you may not even fully remember what you wrote, as we spoke about, until you go over it again. So sharing it with someone else may make you feel like you can't freely enter into that space to process if you risk being judged for your thoughts or your feelings, right? So just honor this for yourself and for them, and just keep your journal in a private place and have an agreement with those who you live with that these writings are to be honored. And once you if it's future things and once you accomplish those things, then you can share it, right? But it's been said that the kingdom is at hand, and in this case it's your hand, right? And it is our hope for you that you'll begin to transcribe that which is seeking expression in your life. I hope this lesson has helped you and has been insightful for how to get deeper into journaling or start journaling for some. And this has been lesson 1 of authentic journaling. So we're doing great on timing and we've got about 10 minutes, and we just like to hear what was your biggest takeaways or ahas or that came up during this lesson. You can just take 30 seconds, or if you have a comment, question, okay? And I see Laura's hand. Go ahead.
Yes, I was tapping into yourself and see what develops from your thoughts. And as far as do you have to write it with pen and paper? A definite yes, because it's an automatic, free flowing process. If you think too much, you may forget what you thought about or misconstrue what you were thinking about. So it needs to be intentional, not sporadic, but instantly, free. And as far as Facebook, never ever, as far as I'm concerned. That's my private business, and I'm not going to spread my thoughts. If I have to wash a dish or two, nobody needs to know about it. That's my business, and that's my spiel.
Love it. Love it. Thank you for sharing. Good stuff. Good stuff.
The part just talked about basically don't think don't correct added. That's one thing know I do on a consistent basis, especially when I go back and read and I'm like, oh, that's not like the grammar and so forth. So that was a good you say don't correct it, and so that's a takeaway for sure. So I guess it'll continue writing, and I believe you said it'll paint a picture after a while.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Just let it flow. Don't worry about grammar. Don't worry about punctuation. Don't worry about any of that. If it's spelled right, right, just let it flow.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep. Who's next?
I'll say something.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like this is just is, and it feels good that, hey, I'm not going to be graded or anything like that. It just sounds like it could be a lot of fun, and you can discover maybe a lot of things. And I thought about, I looked through photos, or I had to look through photos a lot of times, and sometimes it makes want to describe maybe how I was feeling in that picture. I can look at a picture and sometimes it comes to me and I exactly remember why I was looking like that or what I was feeling. Was I caught by surprise when I took that picture, or what on earth, what was happening, or, you know, so it's just like a fun exercise, no obligations too much or whatever. Because so many times, like I say, you got to get something done and a certain time you feel pressure and stuff like that. So I like the idea not having no pressure on myself at this point or something. Not too much anyway.
Yeah.
It's
Nice.
kind of, yeah. So I like the idea. Beautiful. I like the ideas.
Good. Good. So write out.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Yvonne or Yasha, either you are speaking, you're muted. Yvonne or Yasha, did you want to share? Okay, we'll give you a moment if you do want to share. Did you have anything to share, Jerry?
Nothing to share, just looking forward to getting back on track, with something I was doing for a good while. And sometimes I'm doing too many things, something falls away. So I'm looking forward to getting started back with this. I think it's good timing. I love the first of the year because it's a good time to renew. Some people don't like New Year's resolutions. I like a new day, a new month, a new year, a new opportunity. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, same thing. We do so many things. Some things you get off track with at some time, at some points a little bit. And I haven't personally journaled in a little bit. So it's going to be a great time for me to go back in, right?
Yeah.
And journal. I do write other things, but I haven't sat down and done this process. And I really do like the process. It's a really powerful process. So I'll be doing it with you all. Yeah. Okay. So Yasha, did you want to comment if you're in the position? Going once, going twice. Yvonne, do you have anything to share? All right, maybe not. So other than that, we will meet same place, same time next Thursday. We're back on track after the holiday.
Yeah.
And we're going to go into lesson 2 of authentic journaling. Rosalie, did you have something?
Yeah, I was just going to say, when Dame Marie said December the 12th, well, I guess I made a financial commitment because the 12th is of 2025. That's when I started giving my financial obligation. Every so happened was December the 12th. And I think I got my free lesson was December the 12th or whatever. And by next month, January 12th, is that my date that my financial obligation happens. So I just thought it was funny. She said December the 12th, her sister passed or whatever. The 12th is kind of ingrained on my mind. That's when I know my financial obligation comes out. It was just, I guess, a coincidence, or maybe it wasn't. I don't know. I just thought I would say that.
That works. That works.
Yes. Thanks, Sherry.
They say everything is connected. So
right?
Yes, it is.
Connected.
Everything is connected.
Another.
Yep.
All coming from one source.
Yeah.
Right.
What about you, Marie? You had something else?
I would just say that I actually love journaling. I love it. I set time like in the morning. As a matter of fact, when I don't journal for a while, I feel like there are things inside of me that need to come out, and I need my journaling time. So I love journaling. I have done the same thing as Roshan, though. I've looked back and say, "Oh man, And I've added an E or put a comma because that's just my nature. But I love journaling, but I'm looking forward to refining my journaling process with this and being more free flowing with it and not as restrictive. So I just wanted to add that. Thank you all so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you. Thank you. And we will see you next Thursday, same time. And go out and be great. Work on your journaling. And we'll see you next Thursday.
Yes.
Thank you.
Have a
Thank
good
you.
one.
you.
You're welcome.
Go.
Love
Thank
the
you.
information. Love the information you gave us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Oh no.